Hello, everyone. This is Direwolf20. And welcome to the Mining the Code panel. This is the mod developers panel. I'm just here moderating it. So the topics here are, the creation of mods, not strictly focused on programming, but also the creative aspects, and just a place for the mod developers to talk about their work. So to get started, I think I'd like to have everybody go down the line and introduce themselves, who they are, what they do, what mods they work on, and that kind of cool stuff. So I turn it over to Professor Mobius.
Test. Oh. Hello everyone, Professor Mobius, creator of Wela, Java, and Opis that you might be using, I guess.
Okay, so I'm Razzleberry Fox, also known as Raz. I made the DecoCraft mod for Minecraft, and I also do models for various other mods.
Hi guys, I'm iChun. I've made the Portal Gun mod, the Gravity Gun mod, let's see, Morph, Sync, Hat, Trail Mix, and the list goes on, right?
So my name is Dan, and I made Computercraft, QCraft, and just this week, Computercraft Edu.
I covered Jaguar here, and I am the creator of Railcraft, as well as a major contributor to Buildcraft and Forestry.
I am Lex Manos. I do the Forge API as well as other minor mods.
So the format of the panel is basically we're going to have a couple generic questions that I'm going to ask these guys, but we want to have as much audience interaction as possible. So if anybody has questions that you would like to ask, one of the agents wave and say where they should start lining up, and we'll mostly be taking questions from the audience. So where should they start lining up, guys? I believe over here on this side, right? Maybe look to the agents and they'll tell you where to go stand. So start thinking of some questions, but while you guys do that, I'd like to pose a couple myself, if that's all right with you guys. Because I don't have access to you, so I don't get to ask you questions very often. So one of the first questions that I thought was pretty interesting that a lot of people would like to know is, why did you start modding? And in addition to that, what was the inspiration for the mod that you created? So like, what caused you to think of that, and where did that come from? So we'll just go down the line.
I started modding way before modding was a thing, and I started it because I found the game to be a bit limited at some point. Like after a week of playing it, you reach the end of it, and it was before you had the Nether or the end, so it was really like the beta version of the game. As for modding, I started only 2 years ago now, and I started because of we had a server with a lot of mods on it, and one of our friends tried to start playing, and he couldn't know what he was looking at. So basically, I started to make a mod called Wela, which means what are you looking at? And that's, well, now it's more or less integrated in every mod pack out there. So that's how I started. It was to help someone with playing modded.
And I believe if you wanted to ask questions, line up over here, correct? Yep. So right here, this guy in the green shirt, just start lining up along this row if you want to ask questions, and we'll take them after a couple quick ones here.
Okay, so I started modding 2 years ago. I started as a normal user playing vanilla, and then I started a server, and the server had plugins. But I would play on my server with my friends, and I'd be like, I like mods. So I'd play mods on my own, and I realized I would love to have a modded server. And suddenly, mods started becoming available for server-side playing as well. So I started pulling my friends onto my server and like throwing Bucket out and putting in Forge mods. And practically I just never stopped. And then I said, I want to be able to do more with my worlds and be able to decorate and have like, why just have one bed when I can have 50 colors of beds or 50 kinds of beds or lamps and that's how I started. So I started making 3D models and putting them into the game. And it was just for my server, but people started to enjoy it. So I just went with it, and that's how I started modding.
All right, so I started modding about 4.5 years ago. Wow, that's been a while. Okay, so there isn't really a long story about it. It's just that I was playing with mods one day, and I was just thinking, there wasn't a mod like, say, Portal anywhere. So I just thought to myself, it would be a very nice challenge to try and make the Portal gun in Minecraft. This was back in beta times, about 1.2_02. So I think it took me about 2 weeks, and after that 2 weeks, I finally made Portal gun, and that's basically much how I started modding.
So I think I first started modding when pretty much as soon as I got Minecraft. Like the Minecraft Coder Pack by Sarge and Mobius, just about it existed then. And at that point, people were just making like fun mods, like Mo creatures and stuff. So I tried to make stuff like that. I made a mod that lets you build snowmen before there were snowmen, a mod that lets you do hot air balloons, but I never really released any of them. I just sort of made very, very small mods just for fun for a while. But then about a year later, I had this idea for ComputerCraft. I was picturing like people on servers with networks of computers sending emails to each other and stuff as like a role-playing thing. So I spent about a month building it and released that. And that was a huge success, and I've basically been working on that ever since.
So I've been modding for quite a while as well. 4 years plus. Back in 1.7.3 beta is when I started. I was waiting for the update to 1.8 beta at the time because it had new world gen, and I was going to start a new world. So I got bored and decided to try and fill a gap in what I saw in vanilla, which was the ability to actually use minecarts to do anything useful. So that's where I came from.
I started out playing way back in the day with some friends, and after a week, we did everything. And so I got into just tinkering with things, spent a couple weeks digging around in the code, and then decided to Google Minecraft modding and realized that Sarge and Prof had done everything that I had done in the last week, so I wasted time. And sent a few messages and pull requests to Forge, and now I'm the lead developer of Forge.
All right, so I'm going to take one of the first questions from the audience here. So hello, introduce yourself, and what's up?
I play as the alias Cinderpit, and my question is, how should aspiring mod creators start, and where do you start a mod?
So who wants to volunteer on that one? Go for it.
Well, just start with something really simple as you can make it. Just a single block, basically your Hello World program. It helps if you know some Java, but you can teach that yourself as well. And I'd suggest you go look at the Youth Digital booth over in the main lobby as well. So, but yeah. Anybody else got anything to add?
There's also a book called Mastering Minecraft that possibly the author is in the audience here that has a chapter on learning to program using Minecraft mods. There he is. Yeah, everybody applaud that guy. His book's really good. He sent me a copy.
All right, thank you.
Hello Hello, my name is Harvey. My question is, when you go about creating your mod, how do you make sure that if you're just doing it sandbox, or if it's no progression, how do you come about making progression and immersion in your mod?
I'll let Dan 200 answer that one. I'm just teasing Dan. Now, who wants to get that one? Yeah, like how do you make your mod progressive?
Well, the big thing is that basically resources are infinite in Minecraft, so it's very difficult to use resources as any kind of balance factor. So what you basically have to do is create stages that the player must go through in order to progress. You do this by having multiple types of machines and stuff. You can't build one machine until you build the next and that kind of stuff.
Okay,
I think one of the rules is...
another way to make a mod progressive is in Minecraft you have three steps you can go through. It's before you are in the Nether, when you are in the Nether, and when you are at the end, and you don't get the same type of materials. So if you base your mod on those, like before going to the Nether, and post-Nether end, you get a mod which is going to last you all the way to the end game. So it's a way to have a proper progression. And on top of that, if you make it so machines or blocks you are making, you can upgrade them as you are like getting more and more materials. You have a pretty decent progression in your mod.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My question is, what happens if you have any difficult problems with the mod in your mod pack or something?
Any volunteers?
So there's a lot of good resources online. So what I do a lot is I try and, if I don't know how to do something, that if I want to implement something that I've never done before, I'll try and think if there's another mod that does the same thing and see if I can find it some source code. And I often find that that's the easiest way to learn things. There's also forums and IRC channels that are really good for asking for help, which I think other people can elaborate on.
And I think another good way to phrase that question might be, how would you submit a good bug report? Because if you're having a problem with your mod pack, there's going to be an error report. So how do you properly submit an error report to a mod author that you're having a problem with their mod?
That was a question that I was going to ask. Is the problem our problem, or is it the problem for the end user, which is you guys? Modders, mostly, are pretty nice people, at least all the ones I've ever talked to. They've become some of my best friends. All you guys need to do is talk to us, not mad at us. Tell us what's wrong. The best thing you guys can do is describe your problem. It doesn't work, doesn't help. We need screenshots. This is turning black when I'm looking at it is a problem my mod has been having a lot. Send me a screenshot. I don't know what you're looking at, so I can understand you and I can help you better. The more information we get, the better we can help you guys fix it, because we want you guys to play with our mods.
Thank you.
I was wondering, have any of you heard of the Nova API?
I've heard of it.
Just wondering. It's NovaAPI.net. It's basically, it's meant to be a cross Minecraft version, cross game modding API. Just figured I should note that because it wasn't being mentioned anywhere. So
I've heard of it, and if I was starting a new mod, I might consider it. It would be one of the options for something to use. But at the moment, I have a massive mod using Forge, and I don't want to rewrite my mod from scratch, so I'm not about to jump to it.
That wouldn't be a good idea.
I would say the same, actually.
So I've heard of it, as well as pretty much every API that's wanting to be up and coming. It has a lot of potential. There's a lot of people in the Forgecraft room who are making test mods with it. It's still currently in active development, not quite there for current modding. So it has promise. It'll probably be up and coming in a year or so.
No, that's a good question. Thank you. Yep.
This question's for Direwolf20.
I'm not on this panel.
Just the same. When will Zycraft be out?
Ask your brother.
My answer to that, ex-comp whiz, would be to ask your brother,
Yeah.
Soren. Soren's brother, ex-comp whiz, author of Miscraft, everyone.
All right, I actually have an actual question.
Carry on.
Did you learn to mod, or did you learn to program from modding, or did you know how to program beforehand? And what language would you recommend new modders start in?
I'm going to start with this one. I didn't know Java before when I started working on Minecraft. I learned Java while working on MCP with Sarge. And once I knew enough Java from the work on MCP, I started doing modding. So basically, I learned Java via MCP and modding. And as language goes, well, you will need Java anyway to do some modding. So I guess you need to know it. I don't see what other languages you would need for Minecraft modding. So
I learned to program in order to mod Half-Life about 15 years ago.
Well, I personally learned Java as I was making a mod, which I definitely do not recommend. You should definitely at least try to figure out Java first before you try modding. But I have had some prior experience in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, that sort of thing. So it wasn't too hard to pick up at the time.
I actually had experience in Java prior to starting modding, so I was one of the main reasons I decided to start modding was because I knew Java and I thought it might be interesting to see what I could do with it. But if you want to start modding, learn Java.
Repeating what everyone else says, except, yes, Minecraft is written in Java, and that's what all the mods are developed in. However, go find tutorials or classes or whatever for any language that you like. Go solve a few problems in that language, and once you learn the problem solving, applying it to Java comes rather simple. So, actually discussing it with Dan earlier, if you want to go pure Minecraft route, start with command blocks, do something simple, bump over to computer craft, learn a bit of Lua scripting, and that will progressively get you into the more complex Java coding.
I constantly hear from people who've used Computercraft to learn programming for the first time. It's my favorite thing about the mod, so anecdotally that works.
All right, thanks. That was a very good answer.
I had a question about mod integration with other mods. How do you balance for, say, Botania and a certain flower and blood magic?
when you are talking about mod interaction, are you speaking about mod integration, so mod which are working together, or mod interaction in like mod crashing when used together?
I'm meaning mod integration when you have different mods in a pack and some element breaks part of that of another mod or simplifies.
How do we deal with this? Usually we blame the other person first. And next we go talk to them to see if they are like willing to work the problem out, because usually it's when you have this kind of cross-mod problem, it's because one mod is triggering something which is in the really corner case of another mod. So it's something you don't see in normal testing, and you'd find it out only when both mods are there. So you have to work with the other person to try to fix it.
I think that's a really cool part of our community. most modders, again, are friends, and we get along and we talk to each other. So usually, not in all cases, we talk to each other enough to be able to figure out what and whose fault it was and how we can work together to fix it for the players. Usually, not always.
Anybody else have anything to add? Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Hi, I was wondering, how do you make sure that your mods are both balanced and captivating throughout the entire play experience, which are related?
And I think that relates to another question that we had also, which was what makes a good mod, basically, right? Like what makes a mod become popular? And I bet we all wish we knew. But go on, guys. What do you think makes a mod popular, and how do you make it balanced?
Well, I'll take that one and make it interesting, challenging, give the player stuff to learn. Learning is important in the concept of fun. And as for keeping them interested, just make sure there's plenty to do. And what you want to do is give them the tools to make their own decisions about what they want to do with them.
Yeah, sometimes, well, for me, basically, when I make a mod, I kind of just get this random idea and I work the balance out afterwards. But sometimes, as you've seen some of my mods, it's just and purely for fun, and it's not balanced at all.
Like trail mix?
Like what now?
Like trail mix?
Yes, like trail mix. Even like for Morph, you know, the bad flight ability that everyone's been abusing. Yeah, that took a while to try and balance. Even right now, it's still not balanced yet. But what I've tried to balance it is to reduce the number of hearts a player would have. So, like I said, this is an ongoing thing. Sometimes the balancing just doesn't come straight out of the box. You just have to progressively work towards, you know, a more balanced and more, you know, a proper mod.
Yeah, for me, like balancing isn't always the most important thing either. I make some concessions towards it in my mod, but if it ever comes to a decision between making something more balanced and making people being able to make more amazing creative things, I'll always err towards that because I want to encourage people to make stuff rather than put artificial barriers in their way, personally. But there are other mods that go the opposite way, and they're all about that hardcore survival mode experience. So different mods have different goals.
Depends on what mods you like. I'm gonna give an example. It's Chisel. I don't know if you guys know that mod, but by one of our Chisel people are here in the front row. No? Then why are you saying hi? Okay, well, Amadornes works on a ton of mods, so I'm sorry. He works on like a billion. But in my case, like for DecoCraft or for Chisel or for purely decoration mods, you have people who don't really care about progression, who don't really care about balancing. So these mods don't need more progression than vanilla will provide. In Chisel, if you want to chisel out a diamond block, it's as hard as getting the diamond block and getting the tools to chisel it into whatever pattern you want. Same goes for DecoCraft. We have 550 plus models, and all people do is work and work to get the raw materials, to get enough things to decorate the places that they're inhabiting or the castles that they're making or the dungeons, and that's what makes non-progressive mods also kind of cool, depending on what you like.
One more thing, if you want to learn more about how to make something fun, I highly recommend the extra credits videos on YouTube. They are very good.
Great, thanks. Good question.
How do you motivate yourself to make mods?
That's a really good question. Go ahead, somebody volunteer.
To be honest, like, that's not something you should really force. I mean, if you're excited enough about your if you're not excited enough about your idea to work on it, it's probably your gut instinct is probably right there, and it's probably not an exciting enough idea. It's like you should find something that you want to work on anyway. But then also, yeah, sort of self-discipline is a thing.
A good way to create a mod is necessity. It's because you saw something which is annoying you, and you start making a mod to correct it. And it's more or less what all my mods are based on, is something which was annoying me, and I just made a mod to correct it. After that, how you keep motivating yourself, you always have ideas, and if you are a bit focused, or some would say maniac, you keep going, you keep going, you keep going until you run out of ideas. But once you get an idea, you have to see it through. You need to finish it, and it can take like months to do that. So it's more, your motivation is more or less the fact that you can't let it go.
Well, for me, sometimes when I get a nice idea, a fun idea, I actually think about how the community is going to accept it. And that way, if I think they say the community is going to like it and I'm going to like it, I would definitely work on it.
So I found that releasing my mod very early on helped out, because as soon as other people were using it, that provides its own motivation if people are making cool stuff with it.
Great, thank you. Good question.
How long does it take to make a Minecraft character into a boss battle?
It's a good question.
It depends on how complicated the boss battle is. If it's a simple boss battle, it could take, say, a couple of hours to maybe a couple of days. But if it's a really complicated boss battle where you have to go through a gazillion steps, get all your tools, armor, etc., etc., it could take a matter of weeks, months even, and possibly even up to more than a year, because it mainly depends on how complicated it could be.
There's new items in it, and you can't use any other armor than the actual armor in the mod.
Thank you. Cool. Okay. Next question.
I want to ask for the panel's opinion about the obfuscation of code in Minecraft. Because sadly, Minecraft is obfuscated and we need a special API to communicate with it and make mods. So what's your opinion about this issue?
So the obfuscation, for those who don't know, is basically everything that is released to us as the players is in Egyptian hieroglyphs, so no one can understand it. And Forge and MCP are the projects who go out and convert it over to English, or pseudo-English, that modders can understand. Everything is prefixed with sort of. Yes, it is a major pain in the butt, but I can understand it from Mojang's side, especially talking with the developers themselves. Minecraft was never designed for what we do with it, and there's a lot of legal issues around having too much access to it. It is the #1 issue with updating to newer Minecraft versions, though, because it would be a lot simpler if the names were easy to read and we could understand what the functions do right off the bat, but we simply can't. It's a sad reality of modding. I'm working the best I can to fix it for modders. It's just something that has to be done.
Thank you. Cool.
So many developers have some strong opinions about IDEs. So I was wondering, from a modest perspective, IntelliJ, Eclipse, or NetBeans, and why?
Cool. So first off the bat, everyone says Forge forces one. With the new Gradle system, I am out of that fight. I'm done.
I was very big on NetBeans for quite a while, but it doesn't quite play well with Gradle very well. So I recently switched over to IntelliJ, and I'm liking it quite a bit.
I used I use IntelliJ. I like all the refactoring features it has. My very favorite thing is that when a bit of code isn't used anymore, it changes the color of the code to gray, and you can just delete it. And there's something fun about deleting old code you don't want anymore.
Well, for me though, I actually started out on Notepad++. And then eventually when I think MCP 4, it came with the Eclipse workspace. So I started using Eclipse with MCP. Then recently, thanks to Kihira, she's migrated me over to IntelliJ, and I'm liking IntelliJ.
Well, I use Eclipse because that's what I was taught on, and I hate change.
Well, I use Eclipse too because it's what I started with, and I didn't really see the need to change. If I'm starting a new project which is not related to Minecraft, I'm using IDE. IDE. I don't know how to pronounce it. The other one. How do you pronounce it? You have Eclipse and? IntelliJ, yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Good question.
Hi, I was just wondering what processes do you go through to make an item or block in Minecraft?
So let's talk about that both from the perspective of designing it, right? So the model, like what process do you go through to create the models, and then also maybe the functionality as well.
When I do a model, which is design process mainly, since I'm not inventing anything, everything that I'm using mostly already exists. So what I do is, if I'm doing something medieval, if I'm doing something from the Victorian era, if I'm doing something from a specific point in human history, I will start looking up the object. So maybe my object doesn't work because I'm not that good at coding, but it will have every single part it needs to actually function if I ever find someone that can help me do animations. So I will go into, a bubblegum machine. And I will look at all the parts of a bubblegum machine and how a bubblegum machine works and what kinds of bubblegum machines there are. And I'll have pictures in my background while I'm doing 3D modeling so I can base off of that and be accurate aesthetically within functionality. So even if I'm not animating it now, it doesn't mean I won't animate it later. So when I make the model, I will actually put the pivot points where the rotations are going to be in the correct spots. And also, so form, function are like the main parts of design. And also you have scaling. So that's how I do it.
So I don't add new items very often because my mod is a small number of very powerful items. But I add new features occasionally. And when I do, I try to look for things that will be able to interact with all the other features. Because if I do that, they'll probably be used in unexpected ways that I didn't predict, and it will sort of have a multiplicative effect on the things that people do instead of an additive one. And I want people to make as many different interesting things as possible.
Okay, great. All right, thank you very much.
Quick question for the panel. Do you guys plan to support BaseForge for Oculus Rift in the future?
So I've recently got a dev kit, and it's pretty awesome. We have a couple of modders who are active people in our IRC channel who are working on it. If I had time, I would work on it with them, but it won't be in BaseForge. However, we're working closely with them where all of the hooks they need are already in Forge, or directing them towards better understanding the Minecraft code base. So relatively soon, if not already, there should be a Oculus mod for at least 1.7.10. So it should be there, but it'll never be in Forge itself, simply due to a lot of the tinkers it has to do with the rendering engine, which will break all of their stuff.
Thank you very much.
Hiya. Question to the panel. Why do you think a lot of mod devs are waiting for 1.9 to actually update from 1.7 and before?
Well, 1.8 early on was missing a few things. This was quickly rectified, but it's kind of gotten a bad reputation. And right now, there really aren't any issues that are preventing modders from updating, other than the fact that nobody is. So I personally do plan to try and get Railcraft updated when I get home fairly soon. So.
To put it very bluntly, modders are afraid of change. Yes, the update is a big process, and Mojang they didn't really drop the ball, they just didn't finish the ball, which is what Forge is there for. So the world isn't ending, I just have more work to do.
Another problem with updating is you want to do it once, because updating certain mod can take like days or weeks to do. And if you know that there is like a new version looming the next month, you are not going to spend a week updating for the old version and again the next month for the new version. So basically we are lazy.
Yeah, I think just like a generally, as to the question of why people aren't updating in general. So when I tried to start updating Computercraft, I had 7,000 compile errors. I spent 8 hours, a full day, working on those errors. I got it to 6,800. So I did a sort of extrapolation on that and worked out it would take 2, maybe 3 weeks of my time to do the port. And that's hard to justify when you need to pay the bills as well. So it's something I intend to do. But yeah, you kind of want to not do it twice. So it seems like 1.8 and 1.9 might be similar, like in the terms of there's not, I don't think that the jump between 1.8 and 1.9 is as big as the other one. And there'll be some overlap. Some of the things that changed in 1.8 will change again. So the 1.7 to 1.9 might not be it'll be like as bad as 1.7 to 1.8, but it won't be like, it will be easier than 1.7 to 1.8 and then 1.8 to 1.9, I think.
Okay.
Hi. When you started out your mod, did you start with an idea of what you wanted to achieve? And if you did, have you got to that stage yet?
I wanted to make minecarts useful, and that's why I started. And yeah, I'd say I've succeeded.
In my case, it's like never ending. I don't know, all the people that I get requests from, my to-do list for models just for DecoCraft, I think is over 400 more models than what I have right now. So like right now I'm at 563 or something, I don't even know anymore. And I keep adding models every week. And I keep getting emails from people, could you add this, 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 this? And so I add them to the to-do list. And so the to-do list, instead of getting shorter as I work, it just gets longer. So I don't think I'll ever reach the point where I want to be. But there's something I really want, and is to be able to have basic functionality for certain kinds of models. So I'm reaching that point at least.
So Computercraft, when I released the first version, I considered it unfinished. I had this idea for a programmable computer. I spent a couple of months on it. I had a programmable computer. So at that point, Computercraft was done. Then a bit later, I had this idea for disk drives. And then I did then. And then Computercraft was done. Then Turtles, then Advanced Computers, then Command Computers, and Computercraft Edu. So it's always finished until I think of the next thing to add. And then it's not finished. And then I have to do that thing and to make it finished again.
I think that's a very important point. Basically, you don't aim too high first. You just try to get like a basic functionality that you can consider your mod finished. And when you reach this point, by the time you reach this point, you will have new ideas to keep on going. But basically, you are doing like small milestone, and it's for example, in the case of Wela, the first step was to be able to just look at something and have the name on top of the screen, which has been achieved quite fast. After that, I wanted to have like a nice way of showing it, which is I managed to achieve with Chicken Bones help. And after that, I needed like other mods to be able to add things in it. So I made an API for it, and etc. etc. You always go by small step, but every version is more or less finished and could be done. It's a good way of having like a sane way of progressing when you are making your mods.
Yeah, of course, it purely depends on the idea that you have. As a couple of you may know that I do have many mods, so I come up with different ideas every now and then, and say, I think something's cool, okay, so I just make this thing, and then it's done, and that's pretty much it. Whereas for like an idea like Morph, like my Morph mod for the second mod jam, it actually started out as a proof of concept at first, which I shelved for about 5 months, and then when Mod Jam came up, I decided to work on it for Mod Jam. And ever since then, I just keep getting ideas for Morph, which pretty much means Morph is pretty much never finished. And at this point, I'm still at a state where I still want to add a mob to Morph, but because of time constraints, I'm still not able to do that. Whereas for like a mod like Hats, where I've already done things like hat hunting, where you can unlock hats from killing mobs, I've already considered Hats as feature complete, which means I will not be working on it anymore. Therefore, it just purely depends on the idea and basically what goal you're looking for.
How are you thinking about mods being modded? For example, Forbidden Magic for Thaumcraft.
So how do you feel about people who make mods for mods? So like add-ons to other mods, right?
Totally cool with it. I mean, it's if someone is producing an API for his own mod, so people can extend it. I mean, it's a good thing. Take for example Thaumcraft and multiple extension for Thaumcraft. Wela is like this. You have like multiple version extension for Wela, for NEI too. You have also, I don't know, Ticker Construct, I think, have an API too, where you can extend. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a good thing.
So a lot of people make add-ons for the Computercraft, like Open Peripheral, and I like those. I'm glad that I added an API to support those, because it's just another thing that multiplies the number of things that people can do with your mod, and that's exciting.
I personally put a surprisingly large amount of effort into creating APIs that add-on mods can use to interact with Railcraft and other mods I've worked on. So I'd love to see them. There aren't a whole lot for Railcraft, but there are a few.
Thank you. Good question.
How do you see the future of modding for the new beta Windows 10 version of Minecraft? Because I'm not sure whether they're going to keep Minecraft for the older versions like Windows 7 and 8.
So this is something that the internet has been in a discussion about all day. The Windows 10 version, I've been speaking with the Microsoft developers. It's the Pocket Edition, same code base, written in C or C++. It's not going to have the modability that the Java version has out of the gate. However, by speaking with, I mean I'm having a lot of Microsoft engineers follow me around and try to talk to me because they're really, really interested in making sure that modders are happy with the platform. It won't be anytime soon, but development takes time. As for it pushing out the old Java version, as long as they keep requirements on Java or on Windows 10, they can never push out the old versions because we have such a high Linux community, we have such a high Mac community, and legacy Windows versions. There will always be a Java Minecraft. There's nothing they can do about it.
How do you make animations?
Oh God. Okay. I am really bad at coding. All my friends know this. I'm trying to learn. It's really hard, but we've been working on a project. It's not so secret or anything. We made friends with a guy who's called Elise. He made a program called Craft Studio. It's what I'm using to make my models right now until certain Aichin can finish his animation code for Tabula as well, which is another modeling software that we're using for Minecraft. But what we did was we wrote, and by we I mean Prof and another really good friend called Talnia, a new rendering system for DecoCraft that allows us to have like an exporter that will take the animations that I can make because I don't code them. So I make the animations and it stores them in like a JSON file, and we can import them into Minecraft without using the Minecraft Java-based animation code. And basically all my models are animated as if you were using, I don't know, what's that one that they use? Cinema 40? Cinema 40, like to make all those videos on YouTube and stuff. It kind of works the same way. It has like an animation system like on 3D Max or other kind of animation software or 3D modeling software. And what it does is it takes that animation and puts it into Minecraft without me having to code in Java. So that makes my life a lot easier because I say I want to pull the leg this way and it kind of records what I'm doing. And then it'll just put it in Minecraft so I don't have to code rotations and axes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and if you are writing the code, it's basically just a bunch of math for moving the vertices around.
Oh my God, so much of math.
So much math.
So step one, learn math.
So we have this new guy that I have shanghaied into doing the rendering for Forge. He's called Fry. If you have any rendering issues, go yell at him. He will make animations and models in any format that you want. I promise. He'll do it. He's going to kill me.
Well, give a round of applause to Fry.
So I think we're out of audience questions for now, but I've got a couple more questions that I'd like to throw your way, guys, if that's cool with y'all. So one of them that I thought would be a good thing to ask is, what are some of the really cool or even unexpected things that players have made using your mods? So maybe you didn't expect somebody to do that with your mod, and they did.
Crush it.
So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the favorite, most unexpected thing that people use computercraft for was to learn to program. Like, I always pictured it as like a sort of like a role-playing thing. Like people who knew how to program would write the software for computercraft computers, and most people would just use the software and they'd use it to like
yeah, network their homes and things. It was a kind of vague idea, but nobody uses computercraft for that. People use computercraft to program turtles to build things and mine things for me, and that's provided an incentive for hundreds of people, thousands of people to learn to program. And that's kind of, yeah, that was completely unexpected, and I hear about that all the time, and it's my favorite thing about what I've made.
Well, in my case, I made the tunnel board for digging tunnels, and people somehow decided they want to try and mine with it, and with limited success.
For me, I feel this was more of a bug than anything. It's in my mod Gravity Gun, what I didn't expect was actually I enabled the ability for players to use the Gravity Gun to grab other players. So what people did was they grabbed each other, and because of the way I had my code running, it ended up making them fly up into the air, and they actually started using that as methods of transportation to get from one point to the other.
For me, the most pleasant and surprising thing is Minecraft is such a versatile game that you can literally turn it into any other game you want. So in my case, since it's mostly purely decorational, I will get people saying, I made this, and they'll send me, I don't know, a picture of like a zombie-themed map, and they'll use like my dungeon decorations. And so they'll make these insane role-playing worlds or cinematic worlds where they film like small mini-series, and everything has props in it as you would see in a movie. And that's what I've really loved about it, having people send me videos or pictures of how they're using my mod to decorate their worlds and turn it into what they want. So I'll get like, can you please make me Western items because I'm making like a cowboy mini-series and I need a saddle and a bunch of other stuff, so I'll make them for them. So I was thinking of, in the future, being able to make themed packs that you can download as like add-ons to DecoCraft, so people can have only medieval items, only carnival items, or like to make little mini packs so that the mod is also not as big. And if they want the whole thing, they can just download the whole thing, or they can just download certain themed packs for their worlds.
How about you, Lex?
Everything every person here has ever done. I am really happy that they can do more than just write hello world.
Very cool. So another one that I thought would be cool to find out, is there any new project that you've yet to announce, or maybe have silently, quietly announced, that you'd like to talk about? Or if not, is there a new feature or an idea that you have to add to your already existing mod that you have either in the back of your brain or would like to add or planning to add? So maybe just go down the line and everybody chime in if you have something.
Well, if I had a new project to announce, it would be the model importer for Craft Studio we did, and that we are planning to turn into an API, so anyone can like import Craft Studio models inside Minecraft, and potentially have the benefit of having like a real server-side geometry for collision. But I didn't really use 1.8 yet, so I think maybe there is already something like this, or similar.
And Raz, aside from your 460 item to-do list, do you have any ideas besides your 400 item to-do list that you'd like to add?
I have ideas, but I don't know if I have the time to do them. Time is always something that we're starving for time, basically. I have ideas of things I'd like to see, like pets in Minecraft that are actually real pets. And I've been crying for a whole year that I want to do a real pets mod, like not just alter the wolves in Minecraft, but like normal pets people actually have. But we don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, like Grace has said, time is actually a pretty big issue. I mean, she's been constantly harassing me about the animation for Tabula. But right now, I'm actually more focused on porting my mods to 1.8, but it's a bit difficult because I'm actually going through medicine school right now, and I'm trying to balance that together with all the programming and everything. But I actually do have a couple of ideas. There'll be something I'll be doing if there is, okay, no new mods planned anytime soon because I have way too many of them. I think some of you will definitely agree with me on this one. I think last count was about 26 or so. But if Sarge was to host another new mod jam coming up anytime soon, I would definitely be making a new mod. But some of you also know that I'm actually going to be doing this for Morph. Like I said, Morph is still a very unfinished mod right now. So what I'll be doing for mod jam, if there is one, will be to basically make a mob for Morph. But then for other mods itself, like hats, I'm actually planning on making a hats 2.0 where we'll be having animated hats courtesy of Tabula. I'm going to be using an animation from Tabula. And another thing is for the sync mod, I'm actually going to be changing quite a lot of things in the sync mod where instead of you creating a new shell, you actually use your entire body to basically create a singular kind of hive mind. So you turn into some form of AI which controls different kinds of shells instead of the current system that we have right now.
So I just released a new mod this week, Computercraft Edu, the school's version of Computercraft. This only came out the other day, so maybe people don't know about yet. But my next thing, I've kind of started working on not a new mod, but a new game based on some of the ideas of Computercraft. But I'm not talking about that yet.
Oh, actually, I just want to add on. I actually have been doing something for quite a while. I think a couple of people actually know about this, but it's been pretty hushed down right now. So you can actually look forward for maybe from an announcement from me in a few coming weeks about it.
Ooh.
My lips are sealed.
Like everybody else, my to-do list is a mile long, and there's some things on it that are closer to the top than the others. But right now, I think the big thing is probably the 1.8 update.
I can't say too much about this particular part of it because it's still in the works. CPW has requested that I mention it, though. We are working on something that will annoy every single modder out there because it will probably encourage them, it won't require it, to rewrite every single piece of their code once and then not again.
Oh. Great. So I think we're pretty close to running out of time. Is that right, agents? Yes, we've got about a minute or two left. So before we do wrap up, I wanted to highlight the fact that this is a panel of 6 or so people who work in the modding community out of hundreds or probably thousands. There are another handful of modders here as well. So anybody who is a mod developer who has released a mod or has a mod in progress, please stand up so that everybody can see who you are and wave and give you a round of applause because just one sec. Yep. So, as you guys may have learned today or have already known, making a mod is really a lot of time and effort. And these guys put hours, weeks, months, and sometimes in the case of some of these guys, years into making content for Minecraft. And it's all cool stuff. So thank you, mod developers and modders.
And right before we leave, we also want to give a shout out to some of our friends that we are missing a lot here at the MINECON.
We know they really wanted to be here, but weren't able to.
So we want to say hi to Corrosis, who made the Tornadoes and Weather mod.
And Kojo, who made the Tropicraft mod. And another guy, a bloke standing over there, Mr. Okushama, could you please stand up?
He's
Yes.
here.
Yes.
It was his birthday yesterday.
It was his birthday yesterday.
And finally, our friend Rock and our friend Talnia.
Oh, one last thing. To the people, to my friends from Malaysia who keep harassing me to shout out to them. This is your shout out, guys.
So I think if we're going to do shout outs, there's one or two I'd like to do as well, if that's allowed. I'd like to shout out to Sarge, who's sitting right here. Sarge, stand up. Anybody who doesn't know, Sarge and Professor Mobius were the two main people who worked on MCP, which is the Minecraft coding pack. Right, okay, I got that right. And they are responsible for, in a sense, every mod that's ever existed, because they're the ones who created basically the tool that every modder used going forward. So thank you both for creating this community. Yep. Cool. And that's all I got. So hope you guys enjoyed the panel. I don't know, are we going out anywhere in particular? If you'd like to meet some of the mod authors and stuff, just look for us out in the halls and walk up. We'll probably try and, what's that? Oh, wait.
Wait.
Hold on.
We want to take a selfie.
Yes. No one
With
told me
all
this.
of you.
I was not informed.
Well, I blame Ichin.
Okay, hold on. They're taking a selfie, everyone. You can tell this was well planned. Go ahead. Okay. I'm sorry. Why did we give Ai-Chun the camera? Thank you, everyone.
close the door. Shut it out, plug it in, press start and we're flying. No use for your walls and slow, 'cause we built digital castles in the sky.